Hi, welcome back to Mindscape Matters, a YouTube channel to discuss mental health and related issues. I am Mohan and I'll be your guide while we explore this landscape. Happy Valentine's Day. Now, has this situation happened to you that somebody, a loved one, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, children or siblings who tell you that you don't love me. And you wonder, why do they say this? I love them a lot. Why do they say I don't love them? And you try to protest and say, I love you a lot, and then they respond with, you don't love me enough. Has this happened to you? I'm sure it happened to all of us at various part of time. Now, let's explore why this happens. I have a question for you. How do you show your love, or how do you express your love to your dear ones? As I said, it could be your spouse, it could be your boyfriend, girlfriend, children, or anybody. How do you express your love? You can pause this video, take a paper, and write down the various ways by which you express your love. Welcome back. I think you have written down. Now, the next question is, how do you understand that somebody loves me? What activity or what kind of thing they do makes you understand that they love you? Again, you can pause the video and write down, how do you understand love? What should others do for you to understand it as love? An author called Gary Chapman has written a book called 5 Love Languages. He says that there are many ways of expressing love. That's what he calls as love languages. And let us look at them. And by now, if you had made that list, you know that there is more than 5 ways of expressing love. Now, let's go back to Gary Chapman and see what he says. Now, the first love language he says is words of affirmation or words of appreciation. That is, when somebody does something, you tell them you did a good thing. You tell a child, you look wonderful, or you're speaking very well. When the guests came, you took care of them very well. You appreciate a child or you appreciate your loved one. That is words of appreciation. The second language of love is acts of service. That is, there are many families in India where they won't even open their mouth and say anything in congratulations. One boy said, when he comes back and says, I've got 95 in science, all that the parents will say is, that's all, nothing more. They will never say anything, but on the other hand, they will go out of their way to do a lot of things for the boy. Like for example, the boy has come back from the hostel, they'll say, oh, you would have suffered in the hostel, we will make this for you. He likes fish kolambu, we will make fish kolambu. He likes puttu, we'll make puttu. They'll go out of the way to do a lot of stuff for him. They'll tell him, you might have been ironing in the hostel, don't do it, we'll do it for you. They will do a lot of work, and as I said, they may not open their mouth and say anything. Now, this is called acts of service, very, very common in Indian families. This is the second love language. The third love language, which Gary Chapman says, is quality time. That is, you are available for your loved one. Be it your children, be it your loved one, you are available unconditionally. It's not that you're sitting with them and looking at your mobile. You are available if they want to talk to you, or if both of you are doing your own job, at least you are available whenever they want you. Or you just sit and talk about some trivia, or you just both sit and watch the sunset. Just spending time together is, quality time is the third love language, not in a particular order. The fourth love language he talks about is touch, a loving touch. A loving touch, a pat on the back, a touch on the shoulder, a touch on the forehead or the head, a warm hug. These are many ways of showing love. Now, not very long ago, Indian families had this no touch technique. Nobody will touch anybody. Now, I had an aunt who was in US. She came and she kept telling everybody, hug me, and now our family has a lot of hugs, and it's amazing to be hugged or to hug somebody. So this is the fourth love language, that is a loving touch. And the fifth one Gary Chapman talks about is a very Western concept but has come pervaded into India also, is the act of giving gifts. That is, you show your love by giving gift to a loved one, and this is what advertisements make use of. Like typically you will see advertisements like somebody has forgotten the anniversary and he tries to buy some jewelry, and that person says, when was the anniversary? Oh, it was last week. Then you need to buy a more expensive gift to show your love. This is a Western concept. There is some value in gift as a token of love, but I would say it's very limited if other things are not there. So these are the five love languages Gary Chapman talks about. But your list, if you go back now, there will be a lot more ways of expressing love. Now, where does problems come? Why do your loved ones say you don't love enough? Fine, Gary Chapman has an answer. He says, like mother tongue, we are all comfortable in our mother tongue. In addition, we will know a couple of more languages, but we may not be that proficient, but we are okay with it. Similarly, he says, all of us have a native love language. That is, there is one primary love language and the other things are secondary. So let me give an example. Suppose a girl grows up in a household where the primary love language is words of appreciation or words of affirmation, that she has been told, you look nice, you do well, you are doing this well, a lot of activity. They're not overdoing it, but appropriately they are telling her a lot of words of appreciation. She has grown up with that, and for her, words will convey love. Now, suppose she marries to a boy who grows up in a family where the primary mode of communicating love is acts of service. What happens is, say for example, they got married, month later they are inviting their friends for dinner. Our man says, let me help you, you can't do it alone. He will volunteer, cut vegetables, he will volunteer in frying food. He does half the work by volunteering, and if everybody comes, everybody is raving about the food. Our man doesn't open his mouth because he doesn't know how to appreciate. Now, after the dinner is over, he says, don't do the dishes. Anyway, the maid is coming, but I will do some dishes now. And he goes to the kitchen because he is an expert in acts of service. He washes the dishes. That's his way of showing love. He comes back to the bedroom and finds the wife is crying. And he says, why? And she says, you don't love me at all. So he is surprised. He is thinking, how can she say that? I love her so much. That's why I helped a lot with the cooking. I helped a lot with the dishes. Why does she say so? Now, after much probing, she says, everybody appreciated my food, my cooking. You didn't even open your mouth. And he says, didn't you notice? I took so much of that fish. That's because I loved it. You should have understood the way I ate. But for her, no. You need to tell her that food was great. So here the problem is there are two different love languages and it was not matching. So for example, if I have a Chinese girlfriend and if I tell her I love you in Tamil, she won't even know, did I express love or was I abusing her, or vice versa. So what Gary Chapman says is, you need to learn what your loved one's love language is and train yourself in that. It's like you have a mother tongue, but you can always become proficient in another language. Similarly, you are so comfortable in your primary love language, you can learn what your loved one's primary love language is, and you can train yourself in that love language and start expressing your love in that love language. This will bridge the gap between the mismatch between different love languages. This is a message that he gives. Another example is, a son tells the father, you don't love me at all. And the father is wondering, why does he say that? I love him so much. I brought him the latest PlayStation last time when I went on project work. And he tells the son, I brought you a new PlayStation because I love you. And the son says, who wants a PlayStation? I wanted to talk to you yesterday. And when I come to you, you continue to be on your computer, you are continuing to be on your mobile. Now, children, this child is seeking quality time. The child would have wanted to tell something very trivial about what happened in the class, but the father was not willing to listen. He said, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. But the father thinks he's showing love by bringing him a PlayStation or buying expensive dresses or something else. So the father equates expressing love with gifts, whereas the child is expressing or expecting love in terms of quality time, and there is a mismatch. Now, what is your love language? The answer would have come from the list you made. How do you express love and how do you understand that you are receiving love? Now, that will tell you what your primary love language is. Now, in addition, you can also learn other love language. It's a learnable skill which all of you can learn. Now, once again, I wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. If you liked the video and if you thought it was useful, please tell a couple of your friends. And if you think your friend might want to see it in Tamil, we have a Tamil version also. If you want to continue to receive updates from this channel, please subscribe and ring the bell button. Stay tuned because Mindscape matters.